Welcome everyone to another episode of Broken by Concept, episode 166. We're doing a bit of a special episode today. We're going to be reacting to League TikToks.
This is going to be a fun one.
All right, it's a bit of an interesting one. But, the first thing that I want to preface this episode with is I read a book recently called The Medium is the Massage. Or it was actually meant to be titled, apparently, The Medium is the Message, but it was misprinted. Oh, really? But then the author kept the actual...
That's a better title.
Yeah, The Medium is the Massage. So essentially...
No, The Medium is the Message is a better title.
Right, it's a better title, but when you understand the book, it's actually both are actually kind of interesting in the sense that the way... Okay, so essentially the main premise of the book is that... And this is actually recommended from Charlie, so shout out Charlie for recommending this book. Essentially, the main premise is that the medium in which we ingest content and information is more significant than the actual content itself, right?
So by medium, you're talking about like length or like in a phone or like
think about
theater,
over
like
time, right? Well, through
TV
dialogue, through reading something, words on a page like versus TV, radio,
drawings on a cave.
Right, exactly. Like the medium itself alters human nature and the way we kind of
consume things.
Yeah, the way we consume things is ultimately even more important than what we consume in terms of the way it influences our nature as people and our kind of day-to-day behavior and society at large. And, it got me thinking about the medium of TikTok. And it's such an interesting medium, right? It's this ultra short form content, really just condensed, hyper dopamine inducing, you want to just scroll and click more. It's just go auto scroll, boom, boom, boom. And
relatively small screens, like small resolution,
right? Hyped up music, very dramatic music, buzzwords. It's this ultimate kind of condensed new age form of getting across information, right? And neither of me or you use TikTok for our content. It doesn't really make sense for our type of content. And we've never really been a believer in TikTok. Now, we could just be boomers and we could just be behind the times. Back in my day, we actually did long form content. We could be delusional, but I think it'd be interesting to watch some TikToks and then maybe have a broader discussion about, okay, is League content using the medium of TikTok potentially detrimental to one's journey in general, just getting information through a TikTok? Is it possible to use TikTok in a way that is actually kind of constructive for one's journey?
I like that question. The question could be, how can we use this short form, small screen, big text coming up? How can we use this type of medium to teach people the game better?
Right. Or to develop a better relationship with the game. Is it even possible?
The answer
I don't know.
Be not possible.
I'm not sure. And so I think...
This is why we gravitated towards long form, because that's what we feel like is the best way to teach the game. Our 1 hour, 2 hour long guides.
That's right. And I think this, the discussion that I think we need to have at some point is that of, the general public is looking for big, juicy, sexy, one short, sharp sentence that solves all their problems.
Or one tip, one strategy.
One tidbit. And at the end of the day, there are things in League and that can be condensed down to a message, and you can get a lot of information across in a message. An example of that is 3-block. 3-block means a lot, and it is a very effective way of getting across a message. Or, make the enemy sweat for their LP. There are these juicy kind of one-liners that we all... crowd around and we love, and they inspire us. And I'm not saying they are all bad, but I think that this new age and just the way nowadays in society we kind of want to ingest our content, we don't resonate with something kind of being a little bit nuanced, a little bit of a gray area, a little bit more complicated, not packaged up as neatly, because it's harder to digest and it requires a lot more effort. And I think that one of our struggles, and I think as I'm not saying even just within the League industry, a content creator or in any educational industry, I believe does struggle with that idea. How do I make something packaged up and as I guess
both educational and entertaining in a way.
yeah, and entertaining and get people engaged, but also get across the complexity of what I'm trying to teach.
That's sort of like the problem we're always solving, aren't we?
Yeah,
because you can have great, like, there's great coaches in the league community, but they're very dry and boring and sometimes hard to listen to, right?
well, that's the art of being a good coach,
yeah.
right? You got to not only have the knowledge, but you got to have the communication
the
skills.
content as well. Like, like, we don't have crazy editing.
No, and that's probably something we could do better.
Absolutely. Okay, I mean, here's an interesting... I'm just thinking about here. What if there's like a TikTok account, right, of like some one trick of this one champion and just like goes over like all interactions with different champions? That I think would be really helpful for someone, right? It's like, this is how like... what sort of champion with lots of interactions?
Well, let's just say like maybe a top laner or something, like a Fiora or something, or a Camille.
Yeah.
There's probably many micro interactions like auto canceling things or using let's just say Fiora as well. You got the auto cancel with the E, but then also your riposte and how you can use your riposte creatively. I'm sure there's many matchup intricacies that you could do. And I am definitely on board with that. I totally agree with that. I think TikTok probably is best used from a champ mastery angle. But again, then you're really niching in, right?
Really niche,
you're really niching in. And that's what not many people want to do. They want to deliver their content to as many people as possible to get as many eyeballs as possible, So what I've done, I've actually gone ahead and just basically typed in kind of League of Legends advice and just picked a bunch of random ones. Now, some of them I think are kind of serious, some of them not so serious. We're just going to, there's going to be a bit of a...
We're going to have some fun here.
We'll have some fun here. It'll be a bit of an exploratory episode. So, look, I will say this episode is probably better watching, but I'm sure you can listen because all of it is going to be voice as well. But it would be better if you could watch. Nonetheless, you're still going to probably have a blast. Do you want to...
So how do you want to do this? So do you want to read out? So what is it? It's got like a little caption.
Honestly,
now.
I think we just play it.
Just the video or
I
the
think
caption?
we just play the video.
Okay.
Right? And we just let it finish and then we'll chat about it.
All right. So we'll start with the first one.
I'm ready.
Oh, I'm so excited, Curtis.
Nathan has not seen any of these.
Yeah, so you went through these.
So I went through them. Nathan has not seen any of them.
All right. And then we'll just comment on it after we watch it.
Yes, we'll do one by one.
All right, here we go.
Fearless is so important in League. Guys, if you show fear while playing League, people can tell. Let's say in an even matchup, someone steps towards you and you step backwards. The situation kind of varies, but that typically means that you're not confident in winning a 1v1 trade. So that's why you gotta just always be confident. It's better to lose a matchup in confidence by limit testing yourself rather than cowering in fear and losing the matchup slowly but surely because you're afraid to step up. Test yourself and be confident, or be really good at hiding your fear, and trust me, that doesn't happen very often.
So it's not going to autoplay something here, is it?
No,
Curtis?
I don't think so.
All right.
No.
So then I'll close that one. Is that
Yeah.
one? All right. So always be confident.
Always be confident.
Okay. Okay. Well, from what I've observed from your coaching and looking at lower ELO players, they definitely can tell. They have you can see from their body language that they're clear. Like, I'm just going to give this wave and just sit at the tower. So I think that's good advice.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that. I think that he
used the word limit testing. Like, we've got to maybe confidence, because you got to build confidence over time. You're not going to have confidence. If I was to randomly start, let's say boxing or jiu-jitsu, I have no experience, I'm never going to be confident. Even if the trainer says, be confident in this, like maybe like just limit just fuck around maybe a bit more is maybe the word I'll be using. Than confidence.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that, League is inherently a confidence-based game, but, creating and,
just not, you can't just
materialize confidence, right? It's
yeah.
it's a process of failure and limit testing. So I think the message is good, but I think like the whole like stepping up and showing fear and stuff isn't really, again, the vibe I get with a lot of these TikToks is that I don't know who they're directed at.
Yeah, that could be,
It could be like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the whole stepping up and showing aggression is not really something that many people will understand until way later on in their journey. Like, we know, I mean, a high-level laner, jungle's not like that, but in mid, you can tell straight away if someone's a bit nervous, right? But that's an extremely high-level concept to be able to sense fear or sense nervousness in another player, right? But yes, I think the overall message is good in the sense of you want to limit test to find what you can and can't do rather than if you're never going to go in and die, then how are you going to know? I actually did a review this morning where my takeaway says, look, this death obviously looks like crap. You're probably going to lose the game from it. But I said, this is great. You got to do this. There's only one way to find out. If you don't know what you don't know, well, the only way to find out is go in, see how your champs interact, look at it after, boom, go next. So I do like that message. I think it could be possibly packaged up a little bit nicer, but not too bad. Yep.
Oh, that's something I was going to say, Curtis, and I forgot.
Okay.
All right, next.
Go next.
Yep.
Okay.
Why do you always invade for first blood? Invading for first blood is the easiest way to get snowballing in the game, and nobody ever expects it. I'm not talking about invading in the first 30 seconds with your brainless team. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds is when the enemy jungle will be at their blue buff or red buff almost 90% of the time. So if you place a ward on chickens and then track where the enemy goes for the first 2 minutes of the game, you can beeline to red buff or blue buff, and it depends on the champion that you're playing, but a lot of times you have an enemy jungle that's like half health and literally the freest kill ever. If you guys watch my streams, you know that I do that almost every single time.
Okay, jungle invading. So, what did he say at the beginning?
Just look at how many likes this one has, by the way.
Oh, wait, how do I see?
36,000 likes, 4,200 comments. Just let that sink in for a second.
This is why people quit Rift and start playing Arium as the comments.
I don't want to look at the comments. Okay, you never go there.
You know, I was gonna say, he said at the beginning, this is the easiest way to get kills. I was gonna say, invading is the easiest way to make a game unnecessarily chaotic, and you don't need to do that. Like, it's really just, people think it's like getting the kills early, like, wins you games. Like, guys, how many times everyone could actually probably think about games where they got like 3 kills over 1 and like lost the game in 15 minutes. Like one of the huge messages I say in my coaching is, as long as we don't ruin the game early game, the game is won actually in the mid game in League of Legends. That's where it's won. You know, past like 10, 14 minutes when it's starting to get heralded, the second dragon, the third dragon, that's more important. People don't, because people especially in lower ranks, I mean, no, not even Diamond Master, they don't know what to do next. It's actually really hard to sort of sequence and know what to do next unless you're a really experienced player. But even then, a really experienced player, look at someone like a Guru and he full clears every single game. I reckon if he was a Smurf, he would be still doing the same thing. He would probably even more double down on the whole full clearing. If I was a Smurf, I was playing, I've been learning Amumu for my academy. I've been playing on like a Plat 1 Diamond 4 account, and my plan is just to full clear every single game. You know, 70-75% win rate on that, just doing that. Again, I don't need to do that sort of stuff to win the game. And you're not really learning any skills as well. That's the key thing. You're not actually learning any fundamentals, any general skills that are actually, it's a gimmick. It's not actually going to help. It might be like I wouldn't even say it's an elo hack. I think that it literally, if you get kills, it will not, if you were to do this, it would not change your rank at all. If anything, you might go down in rank.
You know, yeah, it's an interesting observation. I actually had a bit of a different observation from this. My observation was, it's so general. Like, if you look at the clip, he was playing, I think, Quinn and Akshan or something, right? And those are, you know,
wait, is he saying invade from a lane perspective?
Yeah. So what he was saying was...
Yeah, because he wasn't saying to invade...
Not invade level 1. What he was saying was...
Oh, I thought he messed up. I thought he said invade them at their buff at 1 minute 30 seconds, but he said 2 minutes and 30
that's
seconds.
Right. So there's actually a strategy with mid laners where...
That is true. Yeah, it's free kills.
Yeah, but there's a strategy where you get prior and you invade the
Raptors and stuff,
whatever, the buff at 230. My point being is that I you know, what you said kind of applies to that though. It's adding an unnecessary layer of complexity to the average player's game that they don't necessarily need to do. And the other thing about this is that it's so niche. There are not many champions in the game that can casually just stroll into the enemy, get enough prio to casually stroll into the enemy jungler and kill the enemy jungler at the buff. There's not many champions in the game that can even do that in the first place, right? But my point being is that it's just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick. I just feel like, yeah, sure, it might net you a kill here every now and then. And maybe if you play an Akshan mid or a Rumble mid or something like that can do those early invades, sure, congratulations. But it's like, again, like you said, you're not really developing a skill. You're not working on your fundamentals. You're not working on your win con assessment. You're not actually working on anything. It's just like this very weird thing. And what happens if, for whatever reason, the jungler isn't there at 230 and something goes different or is wrong, and then you get collapsed on or
it's definitely introducing chaos to the game.
Yeah, you're introducing chaos. So my point being is that I've never done that, right? Ever. In my entire journey, I've never done that.
10 years of being a challenger player.
Yeah, I've been a challenger for like 10 years and I've never done that. So you definitely don't need to do this. No. So yeah, but you know, again, it's interesting. Yeah, sure. It's not, I'm not saying it's impossible.
I mean, objectively,
it can work. Yes.
Yeah, and it's really, if you pull it off, that's actually really big for the game. Like,
but it's
a laner killing a jungler when they can.
That's a high level play, though.
It's a very high level play. Yeah.
It's a high level play.
Yeah.
So yeah, not really. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's terrible advice. I think it's just there's many other things that should be considered first.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know, let's just actually get a ward out, you know, and, and not die to a gank,
That's
you know,
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, not terrible though. Moving on.
Oh, but I'm just going to look. Caption here says, getting first blood increases your 50-50 chance of winning to a 59% chance.
I don't even want to read this, Nathan.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just a bit embarrassing, all right?
All right.
Moving on.
Next one here. Is this from the same guy? Is all
Yeah.
the same guy? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Why do you tell people to focus shutdowns over everything else? Guys, shutdowns are the most important thing in League. A shutdown will single-handedly turn around a game that seems impossible to win. And there's literally nothing else in the game that can do that besides Elder Drake. People don't understand the value or concept of gold in League, so put it this way. If someone has a 300 gold shutdown on their head, you kill them, you get one kill that's worth 300 gold. And then you get the bounty on top of that, which is worth 300 gold. Another kill. Let's say someone has a 700 gold shutdown. I don't care what else is going on in the game. The only thing you should be focusing on is getting that shutdown, because that is almost 4 kills worth of gold. So compare that to someone getting a penta or quadra kill. If somebody gets that, a lot of times you feel like the game is lost. But that's why I always int for shutdown.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think that's great.
Really? It's
As a
interesting.
jungle, that's literally, especially when you're behind, a
It's just-
shutdown is a win condition.
I know. I totally get that. I think shutdowns are underrated. I think they are very important.
And I love his comment about people that don't really grasp the concept of golden experience. I think
I
people
agree.
really undervalue that.
It's so when I'm
your problem
really
with Curtis?
conflicted when
Yeah.
I listen to these because
Yeah, I guess it's not specific and
it's
stuff.
the
How am I
lang-
going to get the
okay?
shutdown?
So okay, let's just think about this for a second. It's
Yeah.
so general.
It's so general,
It's like
you're
okay,
right.
I'm playing Victor, right? Let's say I'm playing Syndra or in a game or something, and I've got like a fed 80 carry. I've got a fed Twitch on my team who maybe has a big shutdown or is just fed in general. Like maybe I've got like a strong Twitch. We win front to back. I could maybe like do some crazy flash play into the back line to get that shutdown. But why do I need, if we're going to win the front to back team fight anyway, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's better in this game to actually peel my 80 carry and win the front to back fight rather than dive onto the back line and just trade my quote int for the 1-for-1. My point being is that, you know, the language for me is so dangerous and it's so easy to misinterpret. Like quote, shutdowns is the most important concept
it is,
in the game. Think about that for a second, that sentence. It's more important than jungle jack. It's more important than like warding and leaning. It's
more important than executing your champ properly in team fights,
it's
hitting
more
your
important than
abilities.
everything, apparently, you know? This is my point. It's sensationalizing concepts that are sexy to get across a point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my problem. It's the underlying message is not that bad.
Yep.
But it's the over exaggeration of the idea of the concept that this is the same vibe I got with the other TikTok with the invade. It's like, yeah, okay, but it's like making this out that this is the biggest.
And you got to do this.
You got to int 1-for-1 for a shutdown no matter what. You know, it's just. Okay, yeah, there maybe are situations that we definitely want to do that, and I think it's good to get across that point. But I think a lot of these, and this is my fear, is that it's very easy to misinterpret that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And then I could be wrong.
And
Again,
you
I'm
can-
just
you
my
can win
perspective.
games
I don't
like
know. You know,
Okay, so let's say if I was to have if I was coaching like a game where, okay, the team's pretty far behind, but the enemy AD carry is the only person who's fed as a 700 gold shutdown. Like, so let's say the jungle and coaching is like an assassin, like.
so you're playing Echo, you're coaching Echo jungle or something.
Yeah,
or
Echo
Dino
or something
jungle.
like that, right? Like, the overarching reference point is like, okay, like this would be good to try and focus on.
Yeah.
You know, like we should all try and kill this guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not the be all and end all, because at the end of the day, if the enemy team's playing really well, then they could be really good at peeling, and you're actually gonna have to trade size and do other things. Like there's no way you can actually do. You can't get that.
You
impossible
can't
to
get that shutdown.
He's
Maybe
got
it's like a
flash
Fed
up.
Zyre or
Well,
something.
let's say he's got flash up or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
This is impossible.
So you got to do other creative
Get other
things in the
people
game.
fed instead. That's not your number one priority
That's
in the
right.
game.
Yeah. But it would be cool if there's an opportunity that presents itself, go for that.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be like I have to do this or I'm going to lose the game.
That's
because you could lose the game really quick if the enemy jungle's playing well, the support's sitting on them. Let's say it's like a
This is the Zyre Rel bot lane.
Zyre Rel or something like that, and you've got like no engage. You've got like a Nami Twitch. Like you can't. There's no one to kill.
No.
You can't. You don't have the threat to kill
You're gonna
that, even
lose.
if he's really fed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. So, you know,
Get to
it's,
the specific.
again, the message is good. Just the way it's delivered is concerning to me.
All right. Next one here.
Have you ever played a game of League of Legends where you're losing against the opponent, but it's really frustrating because clearly you're better than them? And the only reason they're doing well is because of the champions they picked. Like you're here trying to carry, getting carpal tunnel on your fingers, dishing out like 1,000 APM, but then the opponent picked Rammus and pressed W.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's like a narrative, right? That's awesome. Can I play that again?
Sure.
Have you ever played a game League of Legends where you're losing against the opponent, but it's really frustrating because clearly you're better than them? And the only reason they're doing well is because of the champions they picked. Like, you're here trying to carry, getting carpal tunnel on your fingers, dishing out like 1,000 APM, but then the opponent picked Rammus and pressed W.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, that is true. That's going to... Some champions are really good in other champs. You know, we talk about the strengths and weaknesses of every single champion in the game. But yeah, I mean, you can't view the game that way. You know, it's like if that's like such a really basic way of viewing the game. It's like I'm losing this game because even though I'm a better player than this person, then the champion's just better. And I always argue as well, people think they're better than their... Remember, it's very easy to look better than someone in a specific game. But remember, guys, you're in the same rank for a reason. You know, everyone is the same skill level in the same rank. Or I mean, if you're a better, better, maybe it's a little bit better. But again, you can't even measure that in just from one game. So you never want to think that way. Like, I'm better than my opponent.
Whenever you get into that mind of comparing yourself to others, you're just screwed. And
stuff. Yeah.
It's a very dangerous, it's a very slippery slope, that whole thing. And I've been there. I've had that mentality before. I'm like, I'm playing like, let's say I'm playing like Oriana or something, and I'm like tethering and spacing, and then like a Singed runs at me and like flings me.
It's like this champ, no skill player.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a very dangerous, slippery slope to go down because, you know, then you're getting into the whole me versus them. You're comparing yourself to others. You're shitting on other people. You're not thinking about your own journey, what you could have done.
Yeah. You're only focusing on that champion's strengths. You're not actually using your brain power to think of, okay, this is a Singe. Singe is unplayable in certain games. Like, I can play certain fights where I just keep kiting. You know, I'm not going to give him opportunities to eat.
And even if objectively, right? Like, even if objectively, the amount of quote unquote, like, let's say mechanical skill required for that person to be in the same elo bracket is lower, then so what? You know, like, so what? Like, I think that like that like trying to, you know, ego your way over, you know, over someone just because you have a harder to execute champion. I mean, really, you're not really impressing anyone. No one really cares how you get your LP. At the end of the day, you're a rank. You're either at a rank or you're not a rank. And, you know, if you fall into that trap, I just think that you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. This is a good one because that is very relatable to a lot. Even me, I've literally had that thought many times. But then it's just not helpful. You know, that's a really good. That's a really relatable.
Very relatable
TikTok, but it's not helpful. And if you have that mindset, you're not going to end well. It's not going to end well.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on.
All right, next one here. Here we go.
How to not suck at jungle, part 3. Dragons. Dragons are like dudes because they come a couple minutes after you start. You want to secure dragons as early as possible, especially after their new buffs. And if you play Sustain Champ or Bruiser like Nunu, Xin, or Shyvana at low ELO, the best thing you can do is just solo it at level 4. My team gets 86% of first drags because I do this, and it works at low ELO because players haven't discovered what wards are yet, and they think there's no way someone is stupid enough to solo at level 4. Well, guess who's the smarter idiot? And if you're a ganking champ like Shaco, Evelyn, or Nocturne, ward it, protect it, wait until you can get a double kill on bot, and then 3v1 the drag early. Trust me, you'll thank me for that boost later, and then like and follow for more tips and tricks.
This is a funny one because I do the coaching sessions in my below gold program, the Salto Academy, and I see all the time my junglers, they always ward the dragon. They're really, like, people, like, that's a really popular lower elo strategy of like people rushing the dragon, and that's just because no one has the jungle tracking fundamental. In our games, no one really wards the dragon. I can't remember the last time I warded a dragon. I actually have never warded a dragon.
Yeah, I never ward dragons.
No one's ward dragon. There's so many more important places to ward. It's not helpful. It's actually a waste of a ward.
Yeah.
If you're jungle tracking properly, playing the game.
So
properly.
it's a band-aid solution.
It's a band-aid solution. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I mean, you know, with these type of champions, like, again, your reference point with champs like Shyvana, even in my guide with Kha'zix and stuff like that, Amumu can like do solo drags really well by himself because of the percentage health damage. It's a good, again, same thing as the shutdown. It's a good reference point to have, but you don't want to coin flip games on a drag because then I say, okay, you could just get, like, how do you know if the enemy team won game? There's no consistency there. They might ward it. You just instantly lose the game. Like, the game just becomes so hard because you just coin flip the game and die and you give dragon. That is the worst thing you could possibly do. So Yeah, I'll definitely never be ever saying this. I'd say, again, overarching, it's good to get dragons. What I saw a lot with a guru and what he would do, he would not smite his second rotation of camps. So he has 2 smites, jungle tracks, and then rushes a dragon with. So he insta-smite it, and then 15 seconds, insta-smite it again, so he technically gets 900 damage.
Wow. Super smart.
Worth of
Just damage
just from smite, and you get rush the dragon, and Jarvan's good because of his passive. Right. So yeah, but again, he's not queen flipping the dragon. Agurun's doing the dragon because he knows that he can get the dragon because the enemy junglers on the other side of the map, they've shown, they've ganked, they've lost tempo somewhere and they're clear. Those are the way more important skills to think about. How can I get high percentage dragons? And it's got to do with jungle pathing.
Fascinating.
Counter jungling.
So dragons are valuable, so that message is kind of good.
Yes.
Right?
But the specific of how that...
Again, this seems to be the theme, right? It's like the underlying... There is some truth to what they're saying, right? Like there is some good advice there, like shutdowns or... You know, going for those early invades or, you know, getting an early dragon. But again, it's the specifics around it that are missing that can potentially screw people over.
It's like skills. You got to learn, like, these are not like...
It's kind of like the final product.
Pictures. Yeah, it's the final product.
It's the final product.
There's so many skills.
So many other things there that are way more important.
Way more important. That actually lead to these type of things.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah, and even with time back to the shutdowns, it's like, well, you're going to get shutdowns if you're in a good position, right? You've got pressure, you know.
Even executing the fight, I'm Echo, I'm coming from a flank, or I'm hitting my W. Like, if you miss these, you might have the kill in front of you, but you just misplay the kill.
That's right. Moving on.
All right.
Whenever you are leveling up or getting items in League, people think that your power level over time, right? Let's say that you kill someone, you get gold, you buy items, blah, blah, blah. So people think that the power level of your champion gets stronger, right? Even when you're doing bad, your champion is getting stronger. When you're doing bad, the only thing it means is that it gets stronger, slower, right? So from minute 0 to minute 20, people think that the power level of your champion is like, you know, growing. In reality, this is not how it works, right? In reality, it grows like this, in steps, right? Why? Because it's not like your power is constantly going up. You're only getting power whenever you recall. Because before you recall, doesn't matter how many people you kill, even if you get a triple kill, a double kill, whatever, you're equally as powerful as before until you actually recall and spend that gold in item.
That's it.
Okay. Power spikes. Yeah, I think power spikes is definitely something that I work a lot with my clients on, thinking about, okay, you're going to have to give this up because you overstayed on the map, you're useless. You need to go think about the next play to make.
I think what I do like, again, I think they overcomplicated the message, but I think gold doesn't mean shit until you spend it.
Absolutely.
That's a very important, thing to get across. And like I see this a lot in my below plat program where people just don't spend gold. They will sit on a lot of gold and they miss recalls. They could be getting their key spikes, but they're not getting their key spikes. And that's actually very, very, very important. So I like the message of just basing. Like, you're not as strong as you think you are until you actually spend your gold. Now, I will say that graph is an oversimplification because power spikes don't just come from items, they come from levels. Yeah. Right? So you're not just like, it doesn't just like, you don't just not get stronger even though you're leveling up. You are always getting stronger, right? But, and like certain champs spike on levels more so than even items, right? So my point being is that I think...
For example, Zach 3 points in E is really big.
Right.
4 points in E, I think is really good. But you get level 4, there's a huge difference between level 3 Zach E and level 4 Zach E. Huge. Massive.
Well, it's like Syndra, right? You're getting 40 stacks on your passive changes the champ completely.
Two different champions.
And you're not changing any items there at all. So yeah, I think it's a good, again, I think it's an overcomplicated way to get across the message.
Yeah. Asking the question, when does my champion spike? Levels or gold wise? Sorry, item wise? Both, yeah.
Moving on.
How do I want to get to platinum? Do I want to get to platinum playing every role? Do I want to get to platinum playing top lane? Do I want to get to platinum playing jungle, support, XYZ? Whatever it is, you need to have the conversation with yourself and answer that question for you. Because before you answer that question, no matter what the answer is, it's going to be really hard for you to climb because you don't have a strategy.
I mean, I do agree. I think it's an important conversation to have, right? Like, you're not going to just stumble into a rank, right? Like, you got to
have intention.
You got to have intention with like your pool. You got to have intention. Like, you're not going to to get to platinum being a jungle mid 80 carry player, right? A lot of the time it's going to be, you got to specialize in a role and you're going to specialize maybe in a champion or two, right? So I think it is, I mean, I don't know how relevant that is. I can't really speak from experience. I haven't really worked with clients that have had that specific problem, but I'm sure it does exist. Anything that come to mind for this one?
I think that's really the message.
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yep, you got to have a strategy. Playing 5 different champs, 5 different roles is probably not the best strategy.
Right.
But it's good to just, again, get yourself thinking about, what am I actually doing? Okay, I'm here with a client. Like, write it down for me, and then maybe you can like compare it with some notes and stuff like that. Like, this is my strategy as a client, right? Even again, I get a little concerned about
strategy.
That. This is my strategy.
The word strategy.
Because someone will write down something like I play, like people would love to go items, like because they think item builds wins games. You know what I mean? Like my strategy is these 3 items.
I'm gonna get to platinum playing Evelyn with these 3 items.
Yeah, that's something that I could see people doing. So,
right.
So I think that's more of like you can't trust someone with no experience to come up with their own strategy. Just you got to learn from people, dude. Like if you want to climb, the answer to this one. If you want to climb, how about you look at strategy from someone else?
Yeah.
Rather than come up with your own as like a bronze player.
I mean, that's not how I interpret this TikTok, but I see where you're coming from. But yeah, I think the overall message though of being honest with yourself and roughly what sort of direction you want to go in is important though. Like, I think that actually is important.
I agree, yeah.
Because like there are people I have had in my program that, play 20 games of this, 20 games of that, they just swap, every other week and then they're not really going anywhere, right? And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But yeah. So I think that's kind of...
Don't be confused by, you're not getting your ranked goals if you're doing something like that. Exactly. Again, but all this advice is out there, Curtis. Everyone sort of knows this sort of stuff, Like if you search it up,
potentially,
like skill cut videos and stuff like that, everyone's heard. If you're on Reddit, someone at school, what's the normal
pick
advice?
A role, pick a champ.
Pick a role, pick a champ. Focus on this. Focus on working on the fundamentals, that sort of stuff.
All right, let's move it on.
Basically, don't make it harder than it has to be.
Oops, sorry. Oh shit, give him a like. Sorry, go on.
What did I say? I said people are very good at making their journey really difficult. I find
people are very good at making in what way? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, like they're really good at sort of tricking themselves that they're sort of, I mean, again, maybe it's just a lack of understanding of the game and inexperience. Like, again, I'm talking about sort of like the example of like they think that the actual way to climb is, they'll watch a video about the new OP meta champion or something like that.
Right.
And they're like,
yeah, but I don't,
let's say my strategy is to play the best champion from the tier list, every single thing.
Right. But I do empathize with the general public though, because there's so much misinformation, right? Like it kind of feels like, the average player has to step on through a landmine, minefield or some shit, like...
Stepping on a landmine is a game over, Curtis. You got to navigate through the minefield first.
Yeah,
you dodge the landmines.
You got to dodge the landmines, but the landmines everywhere. You got this video saying this, you should OTP, this champ on this meta here. You should play that and build this. You should be stacking drags at level 4 no matter what. You should be invading at 2-minute 30 no matter what. You're getting so many mixed signals out there from so many different people that it's hard. It's actually really, really hard. And then they come to us and then they'll hear stuff about 3 blocks. It's overwhelming, right? So I think that, I do emphasize, I agree that people make their journey difficult, but I think it's kind of no fault of their own for the most part. It's not like it's all laid out there, So yeah, I mean, bit of see both sides of the coin there.
All right, yep, next one out.
There are many unspoken rules that gamers must follow. One of the primary rules being that you can't end on a loss. This is a statement almost always spoken out of primal tilt, but once spoken, it must be followed. In order to not feel the weight of their failures, gamers will ensure that they secure one final victory, even at the cost of more defeats. While the statement, can't end on a loss, is rooted in a delusional grasp for peace of mind, it can also be seen as an example of the indomitable human spirit, that despite the failures of the day, you simply refuse to quit without a win. Imagine if gamers applied this mindset to more than just a game. Imagine if when faced with life's greatest hardships, the gamer also refused to end on a loss. Well, that is a topic for another day.
Okay, now we get into the interesting part of the TikTok now, Curtis. Now we're talking.
I love that voice.
That's like the TikTok voice.
It, it feels like that whole that script. It sounds like it was written with like ChatGPT.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like to me.
Is it like a motivational speech?
I don't know. I think it is. I think it's meant to be.
And it's like trying to like explore.
It's trying to
like
justify not ending on a loss.
Yeah. It's like, imagine if you applied this to other concept, other feels. Like,
what does it mean?
I think it's sort of like saying like, let's push through the pain at the detriment of,
even if you lose more than you win, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's fuck process, fuck thinking about why you're losing. You just got to keep fucking going.
It's a testament,
smashing your head against the wall until it breaks.
It's a testament to the human spirit.
Human spirit, yeah. There's some awesome words in there. Again, I actually was watching. I was like actually getting motivated.
Pumped, man.
Let's go, dude. I'm not ending on a loss anymore.
I'm not ending on a loss.
Fuck 3 blocks.
I've seen that. It's such a mixed signal, like so much mixed message.
I know. Like part of it was like, this is really bad advice. I'm like, it's just getting into motivation. It's like, yeah, why don't you we could apply this mindset of never giving up to other aspects of our life.
But I think it's just a meme. Like I think that's the way I interpret it. Right? Yeah. It's like it's like making fun of something that we all like experience.
Yeah, it is. I think that's definitely it is. It's like a sarcasm type thing.
But it's real, dude. Like that is so common.
Huge.
Like that is huge in the community.
Yes.
The whole, before the narrative about the guy who was like kind of champ shaming, like for playing a worse mechanical champion, right? This is on equal kind of paths of that, where it's like you just can't end on a loss, and that's really, I think the start of addiction. And I think that's kind of the gateway, kind of that like if you feel that way, like if you're starting to go down that path where you're literally like elongating your gaming session because you don't want to end on a loss, that's addiction. Like I feel like you're going down that path.
You can't control yourself.
Yeah, you can't. That's when you need to really kind of take a step back. Like if we just like cut the bullshit, right? Like serious, like that is dangerous behavior.
Yep.
Right. And I'm not saying it is addiction, but I think you're trading down a dangerous path there. I feel like.
Yeah, it's like the gateway drug, whatever they call it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and this is why the 3-block process that we talk about in the Broken by Concept podcast is just the ultimate tool to deal with that. It's like my process, my long-term, the way I think about it is I'm going to see how well I can play in a block of 3. This is my level of skill, just a thing. And then it's like, whatever it is, move on. Reflect, review, move on. That's why 3 blocks have been so successful for
reducing self-sabotage.
Everyone in our programs, everyone that watches Broken by Concept podcast, this is a huge way to just...
But I will say this, Nathan. I think that the power, I feel like you feel very, very powerful. You get so much confidence from the ability to end on a 0-3 block.
Absolutely.
I've ended 2 days in a row now on a 0-3 block.
Love it.
Right?
Yep.
And I feel like really, really like proud of myself.
Yeah. When you step away from the computer.
You look back and you're like, I know that if I played again, I would have played shit.
Even if you won.
But
you're not going to learn anything because again, you're just playing for the win.
You're just playing for the win.
You're not playing for improvement.
You're not present.
Every time that I've had that mindset of like play for a win, I play the game, and even if I win, I still regret it.
And you feel shit.
I feel like I cheated something like that. Like
100%.
It's not real. That's the thing.
Yeah, you're not actually getting learning from that game a lot of the time.
But then you're getting worse. You're just reading who.
But you actually feel better. Like you're just having a shower and you're like, thank God I didn't play that other game. Because you just ruin your evening otherwise. You just know that it could have been another loss, and then like when does it end? So I think it actually is a confidence builder to be able to end. Like I feel it as character building. Every time I end on a 0-3 block, it's like character building.
Yep. It's like before you build it into a habit, because like 3 blocks are habits for us now, right?
Yeah.
We just know anything about it.
Yep.
But let's say, when we're beginning specifically for me going to the gym, every time, like, going to the gym, going through, especially when I was doing really shitty weights, it was like really demoralizing. But I know I was always thinking at the end of the day, I'm so happy that I went to the gym and just like, but if I didn't go, I'll feel like shit, it's the same thing. Like if I continue to play, I feel like shit, but you feel really proud. And I thought that also builds confidence and discipline, character building over time is stepping away when things are hard. That's really what defines, someone and builds up character rather than just going, submitting to your impulses.
100%.
Next one.
Moving on.
So this guy said, "Hey Cruz, I'm new to League of Legends. Any advice for a new player?" Alright, here's probably the best advice I can give you. Go into your computer settings, find League of Legends, and click the button that says uninstall. Trust me, you will thank me later.
Great, love it. That's the typical stereotypical advice of League of Legends, and that just goes back to what this podcast is a lot about. People don't understand the game properly. They don't know what makes a good player, what makes a bad player. They don't think about how they don't really respect the rank system. They think it's all rigged and all that sort of stuff.
I've never heard of a hobby or a game that so many people who play it say that exact thing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
even
the
if it's
first
in an
thing.
offhand way, even if
Yeah.
it's like a sarcastic way, I've never seen this in any other thing.
Well, you can actually flip it to the upside of. I mean, I guess this is not a positive because then you think about League maybe is the only game that's figured out addiction. Like it's like the most
Right.
addictive game ever
Right.
made, right? You could argue that, right? Which would also mean that there's some things in there. It's like that means that it's a great game, right? Like if people enjoy
Potentially.
and the challenge is that big that people really want to. Again, it can be very obviously going to the negative,
Right.
positive. We always try and get positives out of the game. We think League is a very positive tool for discipline, self improvement, a really fun hobby, a really good challenge. But yeah, you're right. This is the caption of this is even W advice. Like it's like W advice, win advice.
Like
right?
it's
a big deal.
cool to say this.
It's very
though.
cool.
This is again. This is what we're working.
No one
with.
will ever say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's
Because
like,
you
give you the
can be
pattern. Like, yeah, like we're all part of this crew. Hate the game.
These
but
type
we're
of
doing
TikToks,
it anyway.
that's easy to get likes. How many likes does this have?
I don't know.
That doesn't say.
But this is the thing. It's like there's like this army of people that abuse the game, treated it like shit, and then go around parading how great they are for quitting the game, and that everyone else should do the same thing. And again, this is that. It is a very. Let's just preface this by saying, like, I think it's very real that there are many people out there that are addicted to the game and are ruining their
They
lives.
should uninstall.
They
it,
should uninstall.
Yes.
Like that is genuinely great
Yes.
advice for a very specific type of person
Yep.
in a specific situation.
Yep.
But it's kind of sad that like that is kind of like there is very little discussion being had over
Healthy relationship with the game.
a healthy relationship with the game. Like the dialogue is so one-sided. It's either you play League and you're an addict, right? Or you play League because like you have nothing better to do and every game is shit. Or that's it. There's no, you're a pro and you make money out of it, or something. There is no middle ground where it's like, you know what? I just play League because I think it's a great game and I really enjoy it and it's a great hobby.
Yeah. And it's a great challenge for
It's a
myself.
great challenge or
I
a great
love
competitive outlet.
competing.
Like, where is that whole
Conversation.
Like,
Doesn't exist.
where in the interwebs is that found? It's not on Reddit.
No.
It's not on TikTok. It's not on it's like in this little corner of like the I guess YouTube us like in this little corner of one little shitty little room. It's just so minimal. And then what happens is this is the message. This is spreading. People that are kind of passionate about the game, like they may be like scrolling the TikTok, seeing this shit, like, oh my god, another streamer saying quit the game. It's like
Even for
fuck,
new
maybe-
players, it's like I should never even touch this game because
Yeah,
if
like, what am
I
I
get
doing?
addicted, I gotta uninstall it.
Shut on so I mean, is something wrong with you because I actually enjoy the game? Like you're actually outclassed for saying that I actually just like the game. I actually just have fun with the game. It's just such a again, and this is again the tying back to the medium is the message, There is such little room for nuanced conversation here. Like there is such little long form dialogue over developing a healthier relationship with the game or just League of Legends, relationship with League of Legends in general. Like there is just such little long form. Like imagine if someone made a TikTok over, what's the best advice you give to a beginner? 3 blocks and stuff. That's not going to get votes as well,
No.
It's not cool. It's not in the zeitgeist. It's just useless. So, I just think that like the conversation is just very one-sided and it just honestly upsets me when I see this sort of thing.
Yep. again, I always say League is such a good game. People just really just abuse it.
Abuse it. That's right. They just abuse the fuck out of it.
Awesome, man. And we've talked about this before. It starts at the top all the time. It's at the top, even the top creators.
And it's
will
all the
talk about
streamers
this.
that say this shit.
The people that have mastered the craft spent all these years
I know.
to say what a waste of time that was. But they've built all these skills that they don't realize.
Sad shit, dude.
Here are 3 beginner tips for League of Legends. 1. Use Y to lock and unlock your screen. You can also tap spacebar or even hold it to bring the screen back to your champion. 2. Always be clicking. This gives you a better chance to dodge skill shots, and you start to see patterns in your movement and the opponent's movement. 3. Do your best to get turret plates before 14 minutes, because then they fall off, towers get a lot weaker, but you no longer get gold for breaking them down.
That's beginner advice, Nathan.
Very beginner advice.
No, but I'm just saying that's just not even beginner advice.
No.
Like what? That's just the most terrible beginner advice you could possibly give. Like, where is the whole like, what is my champ's identity? What are my power spikes with your champion? Like how like layer minions. Here's how to clear a jungle camp. Like learn how to clear on your champion or some shit. Like that's like we're talking real beginner shit.
Yeah.
Or like if it's
plates shouldn't even be in the conversation.
like what we're talking about plates. We're talking about
What else was they talking about?
locking camera. I just genuinely don't think lock camera is a big deal.
No.
I don't.
No.
It's actually not. Like, there's heaps of people that have it in my program. I don't care. I literally don't say anything. It's because it's a sexy, easy thing to say, but it's like whatever. You can fix that whenever. It's very rare that I'm looking at a
you can
VOD.
rebuild that muscle memory. You can there's 30 games in a custom.
I'm actually okay for someone to use lock camera because they feel more comfortable with it, and then we can fix it later on.
Yeah.
I used to talk about it a lot, but it's actually fucking useless, honestly.
I haven't mentioned it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you're lucky. I mean, I think I said I used to talk about like getting a lock camera early on in your journey, but going in hindsight, looking back at that advice, I think it's not good advice. Or again, it's not a priority. There are many better things. It's not like this advice is terrible. It's just it makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
It just makes no sense. All right, I don't think we go any further on that one.
What if we told you there's a simple mechanic that will massively increase your hook rate? Here's a clip of an average Nautilus player, walking straight at the enemy, using his hook, and the Draven reacts to flash away. In this clip, we have T1 Carrier, who uses the secret mechanic to catch Jhin off guard, hook him when he least expects it, and pick up the kill. So, how does this mechanic work? With Nautilus, if you animation cancel your auto attack and throw Q immediately after, the hook flies out looking completely different. Notice how Carrier clicks on the minion, but midway through the auto windup, he uses Q, which causes the ability to look super wonky, and Jhin doesn't see it coming. A similar trick can be used when playing Thresh. Whatever position you are facing before throwing Thresh Q is where the animation of the spell will start. If we slow this clip down, you can see that for the first part of the animation, it looks like Thresh is going to hook someone in the river, but goes for Zilean instead. By never facing the target you intend to hook, you will be way less telegraphed and give the enemy less time to react.
So you said before, who are these TikToks for? I mean, that is... That TikTok's for Master Plus, probably.
Probably Master Plus.
I have a 40% where I'm on Nautilus right now, Challenger. This is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Actually, it would probably help me a bit. Like, I could do that, you know? Well, you know, you could argue again. I look at my games. Like, that's probably one of the last. Getting even me. That's one of the last of my problems. What am I talking about? I'm delusional as fuck.
That's not helping you.
No, that is not helping me.
Like someone animation canceling, catching someone off guard a little bit is not the reason they're missing hooks a lot of the time.
Like, God, this isn't even Master Plus. This is like pro player.
Yeah, I think this is pretty high level.
This
shit.
is really,
I've played
really
Nautilus
high level.
at a pretty high level, and I don't even know this. So
No.
I mean, look again. I like this in the sense that it's champ specific.
Yeah.
I do like that. Like it's got some. Yeah. It's better.
So this would be great on a Nautilus support TikTok, maybe.
Yeah.
Or something like that, you know?
And it's like, or like
All
it
the top
challenges
interactions.
Nautilus tips or something, you know? Like, I think the direction of this is better.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is somewhat pragmatic.
Yeah, I like the pragmatic of it.
It's pragmatic
this
and it
is
shows
I
how to
view
do
TikToks,
it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Like, it shows what it is. It's pragmatic. It's obviously not the most important thing, but like, at least it's a step in the right direction. I think it's just kind of, It's sexy though, and I think a lot of people are going to try this. So I can imagine some like gold Nautilus is thinking like, oh, I'm going to try this in my next game now if I can try. And then they're focusing all their attention on like auto canceling their autos on a minion, and then like just completely overwhelming their mental stack. But the reality is that if you can, it's fun. I would say this is a fun thing. It's a fun little.
Yeah. It's fun to actually. Okay, it's actually really interesting. I've noticed people over the years in some sort. I've some like an archetype of like a Soul 2 member of someone that they know like every interaction.
Yeah, the micro things,
all
right?
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like they know all this stuff. I've had them. They never have climbed. They're the same rank for years.
But they have crazy knowledge.
I think you can get addicted to this sort of stuff really easily.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge of the game. Like you can go very in depth, like how like abilities interact and like whether they're AoE or damage over time and how that interacts with like certain passives, and the list goes on and how like the maths behind the items work. Like you can go infinitely deep as you want to go. I don't necessarily think there's anything bad.
No, it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's just a bit of a distraction.
I've found that people it is actually like on the surface it sounds really cool. It's like this is great knowledge to level up my game, but I've found just from experience with talking to these type of people that just know all this sort of stuff. They don't. They're just their mental stack is just
right. There's a stereotype of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I've seen it as sort of like it's sort of I guess in an abusing alcohol type sort of way,
right? And then I've seen clients where they have all this knowledge and they kind of use that as a way, weaponize that knowledge to then be like, oh, well, I should.
How do I know this? I'm better than these people. Going back to that other TikTok, like I'm better than this. I know this stuff, but are you better than that person? Like, they have the skills that you don't have, and you have this sort of skill, but it's not actually as important what that person's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think it's all in moderation, like learning things here and there. Learning shit like this is not bad. You're not going to lose games because of it. It's not going to make you a worse player, but it's not really going to make you a better player in isolation. So, again, I think this is probably one of the better ones, though.
Yes. This is how like the medium of TikTok could be used well.
I think so too.
All you need to do is CS. I know you've heard this many, many times before, but never really took it seriously. I mean, maybe you focused on farming well only for a few games, but then just lost motivation, or went back to autopiloting. If you really want to climb, you have to put the effort in and learn those kind of basics. If your average CS per minute is lower than 7, then that's the main reason you're stuck. If you're a silver or gold player and you learn how to constantly get a CS of 8 or 9 per minute, you will have a tremendously large gold lead on your lane opponent. There's nothing easier and more efficient than avoiding early fights and just last hitting. An even better way than playing passive is to have high-quality wave management skills. But that's a topic for another video.
No, so you've covered this. We've covered this on the podcast before. You've got the whole video about the myth around 10 CS per minute.
Yeah.
And the TLDR is there's so much that goes into CSing well that you can't. It's just the general advice actually is not helpful.
It's not actually possible.
It's not possible.
Right. There is.
It's not practical.
It's not practical
as well as.
So this is such an interesting TikTok because there's things about it that are actually kind of good, and there's things that are completely off the mark. Right. The thing at the start, the first like quarter of it or third of it, it's actually quite good. Like I do think people will focus on CSing and just throw it away. Like they'll have a basic thing that they work on. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be CSing, but CSing could be one of them, right? Let's say even more specific, like layering minions or something, or timing trades with last hits or something, right? But then they do it for like 3 games and they just give up. Or I do think that sticking to something and actually like staying motivated and like really just hammering away at one thing like that will lead to results. I do agree with that.
Absolutely.
I think that CSing in general, it is a good message to get across. But it's just so general, and it doesn't really tell you how to get good CS, and that's the thing that people struggle with. People like genuinely, they're like, I want to do it.
They want to. They've heard about it.
But like how?
How?
And that's the massive kind of chasm in the middle there. There's a huge Grand Canyon of just missing information. Like show me how. And then what you realize trying to explain how to get good CS, it's like, oh. Yeah, you got to like tether their abilities. You got to layer the minions perfectly. You have great wave management, great resets. To keep up your farm in mid game alone, you got to be like perfectly like using your TP, knowing how to beautifully shove and move.
Yeah, it's easy to get the CS at the mid game is where people CS falls off.
Exactly,
and that's really complicated.
of my clients actually don't have CSing problems in the early game.
No,
it's
it's
actually
not.
all the mid game.
Mid-game,
And when I did my very, very, very minor, brief stint low elo playing, it was very difficult to keep up my farm in mid game because of the amount of fights happening. So I just think that it's just a really outdated, lazy form of advice. And yeah, so that's that really. Anything else you would want to add?
I have an example when one of my my Bronze Lilia members in my Salto Academy. And, you know, she's like, you know, she's really trying really hard to get this whole 10 cents per minute. But in the other, as a jungler, especially as farming junglers, your compared to laners, your CS actually increases exponentially. Like it's actually, it's not possible to get 10 CS per minute from just your jungle camps. It's like exponential growth, right? Because then you have more access. Because you need to take the enemy jungles camps and as well as side lane farm and minions and stuff. So with Lilia, what it's about with Lilia is like, you need to maintain your, like, let's say a really common sequence of like full clear your jungle in the mid game, like go take a wave or whatever, keep up your Q stacks, and you have to maintain your Q stacks. Like getting really specific, you maintain Q stacks to get even close to 10 CS per minute. If you drop your Q stacks, you can't, again, invading becomes riskier. You can get caught, that sort of stuff. Then let's say we do a wave and then I go to the enemy jungles camps and then maybe I see them a little bit and then I let them waste their time. Then I go take a mid wave and then I'm running all the way to top and then back looping. Like that's really specific, but that's actually really hard to do because you're getting baited by fights, all this crazy stuff happening. You need to know when to let your team die. And like, I know that I can carry this game in the mid-late game. So even specifically with jungling, how to get 10 CS per minute, like that's a insane skill set you need to practice a lot. And people won't even think it's an option. People would have the narrative as a jungler as well. If I take a laner's wave, they're going to tilt and leave the game.
And sometimes it's not even good to do.
Yeah, sometimes it's not good to do. That's right. Sometimes I can't go take the bot wave because my Kha'zix needs to go take that wave, right? So there's just so many, again, specifics that goes into that, even as a jungler getting 10 CS per minute.
Totally agree. Moving on.
Yep.
Just play Kha'zix. If you're a jungle main and you don't know how to carry games, just pick Kha'zix. There is an insanely large amount of players, especially in Elos below Emerald, that still don't know how to play against it. Kha'zix provides everything you need in solo queue. A situational kit, which can be varied and adjusted to different matchups and team comps, mobility, burst damage, and carry potential. Make sure to survive early game, and as soon as you hit the 15 to 20 minute mark with a little lead, you snowball into oblivion. One of the best EU West junglers, Agorine, is spamming the champ on his climb to rank 1 in Korea right now. So if he plays it and stomps the best server that exists, why don't you do it as well? And with the help of the principles from the PDF file, you can easily master him and hard carry game after game. You could be just like Agorine. You could be high elo if you wanted to.
Oh no! Yeah, it could be high elo if you just wanted to.
Just want it. You just gotta want it, man.
Oh no! I think everyone in the rank ladder can say they want to be high elo. God, where do I start with this one? You know the comparison with the Gurren? You shouldn't even be starting to no, just no. I actually have Kha'zix in my academy.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to maybe remove it, Curtis.
Wow.
I've actually removed it. I added it back because it sort of got buffed and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've actually removed I can't coach it. Like there's so much that goes into killing isolated people.
But you can snowball into oblivion.
No, you know what? You know how people say low elo players don't know how to play against it? They actually do, but unintentionally because everyone's grouped up all the time. You actually can't get isolation.
Yeah.
You can't get isolation. You can't really kill people.
Yeah.
Like you got to figure out how to get solo. It's actually, you know what? Kha'zix is one of the best smurfing. If you're significantly better than the enemy team. But if you're actually at that skill level, I think Kha'zix is really hard.
Right.
Really, really hard.
Because your ganking's not amazing.
No,
your
have
clearing
no
is
CC.
not even that amazing, right?
Correct, yeah.
You have no CC.
No CC.
You take a while to come online as well.
You're
You take
squishy.
time. And you got to be very smart with your positioning as well.
That is being playing assassin. Wright's even talked about, assassins like they're hard to execute.
Yeah.
Very hard. I think Kha'zix is one of the hardest of any like assassins in the game.
Yeah.
Think about all your damage is full melee.
Yeah.
You're squishy.
Yeah. It's hard.
You have no CC. You don't do any damage if they're not isolated. Even minion waves block isolation.
So the advice you give, just don't play.
Oh, opposite. Don't. I'm actually going to remove my below curl program.
Wow. That's pretty incredible
Yeah.
that you have literally the opposite the exact opposite opinion.
Yeah. I think the way better champions, like, Udia, Zac, I've been working on a Mumu. These champs are just really simple reference points. Because, like, you know, the reference point for Kha'zix, this is the reference point, Curtis, that I'm sort of coming up to. Get sort of level 6 and go kill them on their second spawn of blue and red. Do you know how much sort of goes into that? That is not that easy.
No.
Right?
Sounds
Imagine that being, like, you have to win the game by, like,
overwhelming.
invading the red, the blue. Imagine that. What would be the equivalent to mid? Like, you've got to, like, basically saying, like, when you hit level 6, you have to kill your opponent.
Like, you have to, like that's like TF. You gotta get a great ult off.
Yeah,
or something.
TF. You have to, like, get a kill.
Yeah, you have
with
to
your first ult.
If you mess up your first ult, then
yes,
you're screwed.
perfect example. That's how hard it is, dude.
Yeah, I don't have TF in my program.
Yeah. All right, great.
Crazy.
And that's the other takeaway as well, is that, you know, that's you could say that for anyone. Let's say on Z or whatever it is. Like, this guy is trying to get rank 1 on the Korean server, the best server in the world. You should play Z.
You just got to want it. All right, we're back to this guy.
Things I wish I knew before I started playing League, Part 10. I don't know why, but I never utilized this until about 4 years ago. Nobody told me how I should actually dodge a game or when to do it. So this is what you do. So in the pregame lobby, highlight everybody's name in the chat box and copy it. Then go to naop.gg and paste everybody's names in the search bar. This will bring up everybody's summoner's profile with their win rates, champions played, and recent matches. From there, you can determine whether or not you want to dodge a game. If I see someone's a one-trick and their champion gets banned and they have low win rates on all other champions, I'll typically dodge. Or if somebody has like a crazy low win rate, like below 40%, and they have a good amount of games played, I'll typically dodge that as well.
Well, obviously you can't do this anymore, but...
Well, you can. There's like a script going on.
Oh, the script, yeah. So if someone has a below 40% win rate, you dodge.
So apparently, yeah, if they're an OGP and they get banned, you dodge. If you got low win rate on the champ, you dodge.
Yeah. So, you know, we've talked about this before. In theory, it's right. Sort of the same thing, the conversation. I mean, in theory, that will work for you, right? I think your percentage of winning that game is a little bit lower. But, you know, again, your intention's in the wrong places. It's easy to go down this rabbit hole. Now you're only, again, sort of like the alcohol, like now it's an addiction. That's sort of going back to the, what was it, about the, what were we talking about?
Saying the game is, just uninstall the game.
No.
Or they're not ending on a loss.
No, getting into the details of like all those cool interactions, like they're helpful.
Right,
you actually would get results. Like, you can get some kills from it.
It's not necessarily bad, but
I
when
see
abused,
people go down that rabbit hole very easily.
It's a gateway drug.
It's a very big
one of
gateway
drugs.
drug. Exactly right.
What
That's what all this dodging stuff is. It's like that thing.
It's just a Band-Aid.
Now your attention is focused in the wrong places.
You're thinking about other people and how they're going to ruin your game, and you're not thinking about just playing the game to the best of your ability, taking away learnings from it, getting better.
That's right, because guys, us as
you just
humans,
got to play the game.
We're so flawed as humans, dude. Like, we're emotional. We're you know, it's just, again, this stuff is so cool and like a high level theoretical sitting back, but this is not realistic. Okay, so what I'm saying.
The best metaphor for this, Nathan, is it's like taking like steroids, right? Where it's like, okay, I
know nothing about steroids.
Well, like. I mean, I don't really know jack shit either, right? So there might be a scuffed analogy, but like, it's like getting it's like, you get objective benefits from it, but it's also there's consequences. There's damage to your body that you're going to be doing, right? So it's kind of like, we can't deny that objectively, if you had the time, right, just to sit around and dodge on all your accounts and, you know, have hours and hours to do that.
And you knew exactly where to put your attention focus, and your teammates isn't why you're this, right? Like, you know, we're just getting into really...
There's a lot of if statements if you want to do that. But like, let's say you do that. The risk of developing narratives about teammates, champions, all that stuff, it's so high. The damage that you could be doing your relationship to the game long term is just so much.
It's not worth the risk.
It's not worth the risk. No. But the average player in League is not mentally stable.
No.
Right? We know how hard it is to be mentally stable in League and to have a healthy relationship with the game.
Yeah, to build that discipline takes years.
Takes time.
Hard experience.
League is a brutal game, and you're just adding fuel to the fire by doing that. And this is why, you know, on the broader discussion about dodging, you need to have your own dodging protocol. You need to do what you are comfortable with. I don't think there is
any. And then never think about that again. It's like, these are my criteria. That's it. But my focus and attention is all these other things that, you know, champion master 3.
And this might work for this dude, and he's maybe happy to do that. But let's just get into, you know, maybe he's a very mature, mentally sound guy, or maybe not. Maybe look at his account. Maybe he's hard stuck for years at a rank. We have no idea, right? So I think that you got to be careful about all this advice as well. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. This is a bit sketchy.
Yep. We're seeing trends.
Yeah.
Just play Jax. If you're a top lane main and you don't know how to carry games, just pick Jax. He is really easy to master, provides a lot of kill pressure in lane and scales insanely good into late game. Some of the best top laners, including TF Blade, have mastered the champ to perfection and repeatedly hit rank 1 with the help of the PDF file. You can pretty much pick him into any matchup and he synergizes with any team comp. Try to farm as much as possible in early game and always keep your trinket or a pink ward in your inventory to escape hectic ganks. As soon as the laning phase is over, focus on side laning, getting turrets and pulling multiple opponents to you in order to stop you from pushing. That allows your team to secure objectives very easily, since 2 or more enemies are trying to deal with you. The only downside is that he can get boring, but that's where you have to decide. Do you want to have fun, or do you want to win?
Do you want to have fun, or do you want to win?
Because I didn't watch the full movie. I just look at the start.
Yeah.
That is so funny. That's actually like a giant meme, right? That can't be real.
So this guy is, I think does he sell PDF?
I don't know. He must sell
files of,
PDF.
like,
I just
guides?
download this PDF file
Yeah.
and you'll get rank 1 like
Yeah.
TF Blade.
I mean, it's the same thing with the Kha'zix one, right?
There's so much misinformation there, though. He doesn't synergize in every composition.
No.
In
Oh,
every-
no, not even close.
That's straight up misinformation. Like, I think you literally had a segment on one of our other episodes where you literally said Jax is like the perfect example of like, he can easily get counted and be made useless.
Oh yeah, there's games where like I didn't even know there was a Jax in the game.
Yeah. I mean, this stuff is just comedic to me. Like, this one is specifically really funny to me. It's like the motivational music, the Chad voiceover, like the whole, like, you know, you just got to do this. They make it sound so simple. You just got to save your trinket. So apparently we don't ward for ganks. Like,
That's not
you just
how
got to
it
come out of
works.
early game.
You can
and
ward,
split push.
jump to a ward and still die. You know, if you're in a really bad wave state, you know, it's not going to work.
It's just beyond. I mean, it doesn't even warrant our attention. Honestly, I think it's just
really
it is what it is. Really, it's
this
just
is what's out there.
this is what's out there. Yeah.
This single important thesis will change the way you view ranked and finally allow you to escape Pislow Elo, the 30-40-30 rule. Without much talking around, this is what the rule says. In 30% of your games, you will get the hard-stuck inting dogs in your team, and you lose no matter what. We all know what that feels like. In the next 30% of your games, you will get the faker Smurfs in your team that hard stomp your opponents and you win no matter what. And in the other 40%, it's all on you. These games are the most important ones because you are the one that decides the outcome of them. Put your focus only on performing perfectly and carrying them. So in theory, you can always win 70% of your games if you just focus on your own gameplay. So now that you know this rule, think about the concept of tilting again and how useless it actually is. You can't influence the 30% of the games where you have feeders. So why would you tilt and be mad about them when you could just focus on improving your gameplay in the other 70%? If you still think bad teammates are the reason you're stuck, then you're either delusional or didn't understand what I just said. In that case, rewatch the video till it's burned into your memory.
Whoa, what a beast, dude. This guy's just some guy typed that out and then got like the AI to read it, dude.
I think so.
He's calling people out, dude.
That was so good.
I love that line of just now you'll realize how useless tilting really is.
Yeah. It's like they just talk as if like tilting is a logical thing.
Yeah,
you just say, "I am tilted." Okay, this is not helpful. I'm going to stop tilting.
Stop. The emotion here, emotion out.
And I love how it just says, in order to win those games, it's all on you. You got to play perfectly.
Perfectly, yeah.
And carry everyone.
I mean, there's some good stuff in there. Like we talk about the 30-30.
I mean, it's just so ridiculous. I mean,
we've had actually a whole episode on the dangers of the 30-30-40 rule. You've obviously made your video about that a couple of years back. It's just maybe people do need these type of videos to like motivate them. Like maybe this type of videos could be like a toolkit to, because you know we say we've got to well, Curtis and I's philosophy on Tilted is you got to build a toolkit to deal with it.
Yeah,
It's unavoidable.
maybe this is actually part of some weird.
Maybe it could be a toolkit. Yeah.
Even though like not all of it is like the most useful advice, it could just get you inspired to get your shit
That's right.
together. It's like, yeah, what am I doing? I'm tilting. I'm like over these piss slow dogs ruining my games. You know, like maybe that might get you out of some rut or something. You know,
Yeah, dude, this guy's like calling us out. He's like attacking. He's like, get you know, who are you? Like you little bitch. That's what it's like.
He said at the end, he's like, if you didn't understand it, you either were delusional or something, or you got to rewatch the video
Till
or
it
something.
burns into your memory.
It's brutal, dude. It's like a Navy SEAL.
This is a Navy
drill
SEAL type shit.
sergeant.
It's cool, dude.
Alright, well,
I don't mind that one.
Let's do a bit of an intermission. I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay. So we just watched that back while we were in our quick break, and at the beginning he says thesis, like this thesis. It's such a cool big buzzword. It's like, whoa, I'm gonna listen to a thesis on League of Legends solo queue.
Sucks you in, man.
It's so funny.
It sucks you in. All right, moving on.
Hello, I just started playing. Who should I play? You just started playing League? Play like a champion you find fun. So you know what I did? When I was younger, I saw Anivia. I said, damn, Ice, Dragon, Bird, crazy. Legit Articuno from Pokemon type shit. It didn't click for me. Then Bod Z. I said like Naruto, Ninja. Shit crazy. Bod Z clicked. Look at champs that you think are cool. Find out you're like, damn, shit looks fire. You buy them. You buy them, you smurf on it. And if you fuck with the playstyle, you fuck with the playstyle.
That is the best advice.
I love that. It reminds me of the Expetu episode.
Yep.
We
So
talked about
this
the
guy.
journey. Yeah.
This guy is a high elo EUZ OTP, and he's a really good player. He's very great. He's a Z OTP, and I saw this. I was like, this is the best. Unironically, he's not even a coach or anything.
No,
this is unironically the best advice we've seen. It's genuinely good advice.
Really good advice.
Just if you love the playstyle, you genuinely like the champ, do it. Screw around with it, have fun with it.
Yep. You can like multiple champs. I mean, some people go down the one trick rabbit hole with this.
Again, we're talking about if you just start playing League.
Yes.
You know?
Oh,
we
so
do
you just start playing absolutely 100% guaranteed.
It's the only
Every
way.
one of our journeys started with
Exact same.
we try to find a champ that was really fun. No one influenced me on meta. I didn't give a shit about that. I just had fun playing the game through the lens of, and I learned the lens from that champion. That got me so far, and I was like, okay, I'm sure there's other champs out there that are going to be fun. And then I started finding the game fun of being different ways. You know, like at our level, like I mean, you know, we view our champ pools as fun, but they're fun for a different way compared to when you start playing the game.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
Like I love, you know, like with Rek'Sai, like being, you know, taking control of the game early game, like you know, but it's not really Rek'Sai specific, but it is Rek'Sai specific in a way. Like, you know, I'm not like looking at the aesthetics of the champion. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at like this champ. Just I love the feel of this champion. I feel like competitive with this champ in the games.
Yeah, great advice. I mean, that's and I think by the way that is what's going to keep you motivated. Like if someone told you at the start of the game, okay, you should play Annie because it's the best way to learn the game. You're just gonna get bored. You're gonna lose motivation. You're not gonna have fun. You're not gonna be open minded and curious. It's gonna be a miserable experience.
Yeah.
Moving on.
You have been playing League wrong your whole life. Most players will click sideways, but what you actually have to do is click in and out. Your opponent clicks forward, you click backwards. He clicks backwards, you click forward. He clicks forward, you click backwards. In and out. In and out. Tanze mit dem Feind. Tanze mit dem Feind. Your movement says, I am here. Face me. And what does it say when you click sideways? Follow for more League of Legends tips. See you in the next one.
God, I love the energy from that one, Curtis.
Pretty pumped up. Wasn't
That
it?
is pumped up, dude. Who is this guy? His name's Mr. Olympia Lol.
I think this guy is really popular on TikTok. I saw he's really popular. I literally never heard of him before this.
No, I haven't. No.
I mean, I think it's an interesting tip. I do agree because
thinking about movement is important. Movement in League of Legends is incredibly important. Yes.
I think it's cool to get this in the mind of people to click with more intent.
Yes.
Right. I think that's the bigger picture message, which I totally agree with. I think there are definitely matchups, or I'm just going to speak from a mid perspective, where you definitely want to click sideways. That's actually the best way to click if you want to avoid certain abilities. Like, let's say, for example, you're versing an Orianna or a Victor or something like that has a laser or something, some like linear skill shot. Dodging sidewards is going to maximize the likelihood of you avoiding the skill shot. If you're playing a low range, like melee matchup, like melee versus melee, then yeah, I mean, obviously going in and out would make more sense. You're actually going to overwhelm their mental stack, because what's actually happening there is that you're getting in range to potentially trade. They're thinking that you're walking up to go for the trade, but you're not. And then you're overwhelming their mental stack. This is, again, another conversation, which I actually did a coaching tidbit this morning about this exact thing, where the act of overwhelming the enemy's mental stack is actually just really misunderstood. You know, people talk about the idea of playing a lane fast, right? With like heavy trading and taking C-pod and all this stuff, right? People think of that in terms of what's good for them. It's like, I'm playing this champ and I want to do this because it's just good for me, right? The whole other upside of doing that strategy is that you're actually forcing them to allocate more energy into thinking about the trades. Therefore, they're actually a lot more susceptible to ganks, because it's very difficult for a mid laner to track the jungle or even place wards and lean in general, even think about the jungler when they're actually constantly under pressure and actually having to trade all the time. So there's so many. There's
Even
actually,
a high level player will struggle with that sometimes if they're getting really hard
100%.
pressure, right?
The best players in the world will struggle with that. So like,
even though that's a very simple concept on the surface, overwhelming someone's mental stack is part of the game. The psychological part of League is very important.
Yeah, laning is, especially with laning, like, this whole thing of just making them think, making the enemy sweat. You know, that is it's an art, and it's a dance, really. And so I like the message here. I do like the message. I think it's definitely not relevant for a lot of the lower elo community, but I think, you know, especially like Emerald Plus, definitely this is something you would want to.
Important. I think this is something I need to improve on as well. Even me as a challenger player, like my clicks are really sloppy sometimes.
I think there's always room for improvement with clicking.
Yep. All right, next one.
Moving on. I'm new to League. Any advice? Quit ASAP. Quit the game ASAP. Trust me, bro.
Holy moly!
This is Bobchin, isn't it? How you say his name?
Bobchin. This is the
blonde player.
This is the
Wait, NA, sorry. Is it NA or you said NA, right?
NA. This is who we with Proxon. This is the player, the LeBlanc player that basically invented the static shiv, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe he's saying
same thing, right?
Man, come on, dude.
Same thing.
League's so good, man. Mr. Bobkin. So sad. It is so sad.
It's the same thing. It's everywhere.
Wow.
It's like a plague. It's cool. It's a TikTok. Look how many likes it has. 5,000 likes.
It's a way to get attention.
It's a way to get attention, you know?
You're never gonna no one's ever gonna dislike this.
That's right.
Another day.
Just quit.
Another day at the Broken by Concept podcast, Curtis. Chipping away. All right, next one here.
Today I'm going to show you guys why you should check your replays in League of Legends. There's so many things that you miss if you don't go back and look at the game. Check out this dragon, for example. So I just casually killed the dragon here, and when I alpha strike it, it moves away from me. That's a normal mastery interaction telling you that somebody is nearby. I actually ping it down here to show my teammates that there's probably somebody down in this bush, right? And actually, that was pretty smart, because if we take a look, there were enemies here. But what does this have to do with the replay? Check out what actually happened that I didn't even know happened. Vi comes down. She completely ignores me in Dragon. She almost saw me, and then she goes down into this bush. I would have never known that I was 1 second away from dying and losing Dragon if I didn't go back and see my poor decision-making in my replay. If you want to be better, check your replays.
Okay, this is a really interesting one. I think this example is really bad though. I think this is actually a good example of incorrect review. Was he saying that the dragon was bad to start, or was he saying about should have stopped queuing it?
Yeah, no. So what he was saying was, you know, he thought that what he was doing was correct in the game, but when looking at the review, he realized that he was just lucky. He actually should have died on the dragon.
Okay, so he knew it was a bad dragon.
Yeah.
Because that is the worst dragon of all time, dude. The fact that because
that's what he's saying. He got lucky.
If you do a dragon, right, and you don't know where everyone is, that is a problem. I've never done a dragon and not known that someone was like in the red bottle or something like that. I mean, I think it looked like that clip literally. I mean, he obviously had no idea where Vi was for Jungle Dragon, and the Unibot had priority. Like, someone just walks up for 2 seconds, you're just dead. So that's a really good example of So that's good. Sorry, that is a good review.
That is a good. I think it's good.
I thought he was saying something about the getting into the details of the interaction.
No,
he should have stopped queuing because then the dragon moves away or some shit like that. Okay. Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, because you can get away with things, absolutely. That's just
luck.
Just luck. It happens in my reviews so many times. Even you actually even have to question decision making. Specifically, it's like I can do this play, but was it for the right reasons? Did I have the right thought process going for this sort of play? Did I have the right criteria? I had an example in a review today where he invaded the enemy jungler showed on the map. He invaded his bot camps and never tapped to check the CS. He wasn't actually sure what camps the Kha'zix had done. So the invade was correct, but he didn't exactly know where he was going in the jungle. He didn't know whether the Gromp was up. It just happened to be up and he happened to kill him on the Gromp. But we had to break it down. The actual fundamentals here is you need to tab, you need to check what minions he's got, how much CS he's got in the early game. He had, the enemy jungler had 24, which meant that he'd had 5 camps in Crab. And if he had 28, then we knew that the Gromp would have been gone in that specific case because he didn't do Krugs over there or whatever like that. Right? So we had to bring it back really the decision making. Everything's going to be solid in League of Legends for consistency. So it's really important.
Wow. Great example.
All right. Next one here, we've got Nice Talk. Friend of the podcast. Friend of the show.
We gave it a like as well.
Oh, we gave it a like. There we go. All right, here
Support
we
the
go.
cause.
Understanding that it's okay to give up a CS, but it's not always okay to give up XP. Here is so dangerous that you might have to give up XP, but just remember, you can always, as a minion's gonna die, if you can't grab it without taking damage, ask yourself, maybe I could just be in XP range. This is a little harder to teach because the only way you really learn it is by watching your XP bar go up as minions die. I think you're technically in XP range right here on this creep, this one that's getting low. Like right here, you see how close you are? Like look at the body language. Now look at Tristana walking forward. Look how you're walking forward as she's walking forward. Are you on offense or defense right now? I wouldn't even auto her. I would just space it with W.
I think it's good advice.
Yeah, so this is again how I think TikTok is going to be used really well.
That's a very pragmatic piece of advice.
That's a pretty impactful thing as well. Not taking damage on going for a last hit or something like that. That could be a difference when you're getting dove. You losing even more minions. You know how a lot of the time when you would see, someone go for like some minions and then they lose too much HP and then now they've actually put themselves in a worse position. They're going to lose even more minions.
And XP in general is just more important than gold.
Okay, yeah.
As well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's
So
a really good
I like that.
concept.
I'm a fan. That's actually a good tick. That's probably one of the better TikToks we've seen today.
Absolutely.
Good job, Nice.
Yeah. We're a fan. All right, we've got another one
Subscribe.
If you want to carry, learn how to communicate with pings, Pinglish, and be willing to take charge of the game as early as you can, right? Like go into a match and say, all right, I'm playing this champion. What's my win con? As soon as I've established my win con, start leading the charge. And that's why I yell at people all the time, like, yo, you need to ping some shit. Ping on this guy's head, call for Baron, side lane, be by yourself, flank, do something decisive. Don't just sit around and wait for the game to happen.
Oh. Just for the Spotify.
That's again good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that word, that term, Pinglish. That's actually an interesting term.
Steal that one.
Steal that from Nice. That was great. I love that. Shout out Nice for that.
It's like Pinglish.
Pinglish. It's like learning Pinglish. That's really cool. That's really smart.
That's the thing that I actually will give Nice credit for. He's actually good at using an analogy and again explain. He's thought a lot about how to explain this game to a beginner.
He does.
That's what he's worked in.
No, Nice is genuinely he actually has been very helpful to the lower elo community. People have discredited his high elo stuff a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of his lower elo stuff is actually not bad.
And he spent a lot of time, more than pretty much
put
a lot
in
of
the
people,
work
of understanding how to teach the game.
He actually has put in the work with the lower elo community. You got to give him props to that. So I think that this is good, really good advice. Again, I think that a lot of people tend to want to take a back seat, and because again, it's scary, right? You make that ping, you ping that Baron, you make that call, and it's on you. But that's how you learn.
This tip here this is how you learn. This is the quickest way to learn.
Yeah.
Take responsibility. Do something. Do something proactive, and then you'll learn from it.
Yep.
You don't be afraid to end. People they're so afraid to get blamed by their teammates.
Yep. That's really what it is. It's a protection. Just protect yourself, hide away, and let other people do it. Because then it's not me if it goes wrong, right?
What's the word? Your
backseat gaming.
No, not backseat gaming. You're flying under the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. That's what the teachers would always used to say about me in high school. Nathan would fly under the radar. That was literally from my parent-teacher interviews. That would be always what it is.
Fly. It's a nice way of putting you're introverted, I guess.
Doesn't
interact.
Don't even know it exists.
Flies under the radar.
I was just thinking about World of Warcraft Arena 24/7.
So that's good. Again, a good TikTok.
Great
I like
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
All right, moving on here.
But some people, will play on a laptop in their bed. to play League of Legends, and that already hinders your ability to play the game. Some people play with a trackpad. You know, there's so many different things that you'd be surprised that people will actually do that obviously hinders their performance to play the game well. On to number 4, don't play fair. So what I mean by this is that playing League of Legends, you got a couple different ways to try to pull out the victory. And obviously playing fair is like you play out your lane like a normal human being. You know, you try to get your objectives, you try to push down towers. But what this doesn't do, this doesn't guarantee leads, right? There are things that you can do in the game that people will not expect, and you can abuse that. So you can hide in bushes, you know, in lane and stuff like that when you're playing like a support like Morgana. You can throw Qs out from bushes. It's super annoying. It's super hard to play against, and a lot of people do not abuse those bushes.
What? I was just fixated. He said you got to play lane like a human. Like, oh no! Whenever I hear that, I just check out. Like,
I don't really know what to take away from that. Apparently, it's not fair to use bushes. That's playing not fair. I don't know. This is apparently top tips to get out of low elo. There was so many words said with very little substance there. I think we just
let's
skim over that one.
We made a fresh account in League of Legends to go from Iron to Plat, one-tricking Shyvana in every lane. We started out the day still in our placements, and I warmed up in a game against a bunch of intro bots, or at least that's what we thought we were playing against, because low ELO is just Smurfs playing against bots. Seriously, I felt so bad this game and promised the Aatrox I would get out of his ELO as soon as possible. And the next couple games weren't any better, because the other team's got a combined 0 towers, and one of the Canes dealt less damage than his support. Guys, we were gonna get out into gold very quickly, so this can be a fair fight and claw our way up from there, because we ended the day with 3 wins, 0 losses, and bronze 3 and 47 LP.
Fuck you, dude. Get out. You know, just I hate this shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is.
So why is he doing that?
Like, why? Yeah. Like,
is he doing it to
like? This is the thing, right?
To show people how to win games.
And this is the thing. I made that video where I played like 2 or 3 games in bronze or whatever the hell it is, and it is such a bad way to teach.
You think so?
It is so bad. I think it is so bad because, again, you're not able to resonate. Like, there are so many things you're doing. You can't just isolate shit. You know, like, you're not actually helping at all because you're doing so much. And by dumbing it down, you're not even making the game realistic in the first place. It is one of the biggest plagues of the content educational sphere. Smurfing and going in a lower elo bracket to teach something. It is so bad. I think it is so bad.
Yeah.
It's one of my pet peeves. Like it's like they do the unranked to diamond or unranked to master tier. It's like, dude, it means you're not teaching anyone. You're just making a bunch of people's lives miserable. That's it.
Yep. Ruining the system.
Ruining
it. Yeah, making people not fun. Yeah.
I
mean, maybe I can see in arguments like I'm like trying to show, because this is sort of the way that, I mean, if you're an educational content creator, and I've thought this myself as well, I was like, I'm going to play in like a similar to a video, a bronze game to just show, I just sort of need to like prove to people that in a way that, you know, the game's not about you. Sometimes I feel like it's like you got to sort of.
No, but it doesn't actually. I thought that. No, I get that. I thought that. It doesn't work like that though.
Okay.
Because. Okay, so let's say you play this game, right? And you like full clear and you just take what you would deem to be what you would deem to be basic ganks, basic plays. Like, but
they're not actually basic.
They're not basic. No. And your mental state is so freed up that you're thinking about, processing so much information.
You have you have so much muscle memory. You're not actually processing. There's not actually much information going in the game.
Yeah.
But you have so much freed up. You're so confident. You just know you can do that.
You just know. You know, I'm going to win
that
fight.
That's not how a bronze player thinks. You need to get how they're thinking. Yeah, you're right.
You can never think like a bronze player.
No, you
can never.
No, you can never.
Because again, you can't undo muscle memory. You can't go to a fight and not know how to play it. You're going to play every fight better than everyone.
Yeah.
You're going to know exactly where the enemy are. You're going to know exactly if they're moving. You're going to know everything. You're going to know if you should back off. Like little things. That means you won't die, right? You'll farm like incredibly well. You'll get out of control fed. And of course you're going to win. You know, anyone would win that bit.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this before. Some of my clients that have, let's say they've gone from, I've actually noticed in my academy, I have a lot of people that, they've gotten to the gold plus like we call them academy graduates, and they're pretty still active in the Discord, even though they move up to the main Soul 2 program, my Gold Plus program. And they are just so much more relatable than me. Like, I just like, yeah, keep saying this stuff. Like, you can in a way coach the game better than me, because you can say exactly what you focus on. You prize all the knows. You can understand how that person feels because you felt that way. Again, you and I, we skipped all that. We were never in bronze. We were never in silver. We did our pro gaming background to just copy and paste, right? So there's so much value in a bronze player getting to, gold, and then telling other bronze players how they did it.
100%. They understand they've been there, done that. They know exactly what it feels like. They know what they're going to experience. They know what the struggles are. They can perfectly relate.
So yeah, I think that there is, I agree. I think I've come to the conclusion, that you actually can't teach the game showing you playing bronze. It's that you're playing a different game. You're still actually playing a different game. You're not playing the same game. You can't actually show.
That's right. You can't show shit.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all the TikToks. So
actually, I will mention, I just actually thought about, that last one that we said we couldn't find anything. Someone's setup actually is somewhat important in a way.
What is, sorry?
No one actually thinks about that.
What?
People can have really bad setups that are like holding them back, like playing it on a laptop with a trackpad and stuff like that.
Right.
It's actually a thing.
That part of it.
You don't actually know. It's like sometimes you hear it's like, you like...
they're playing on like 20 FPS.
20 FPS. I'm like, dude, it's like, of course. Like, we talk about stage 4 issues. Is that like a stage 5 issue? Like, we don't even have the right equipment.
Don't have the equipment, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Actually a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of people that in my programs that they don't have the computer that can even record a VOD.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, man, it's going to be hard.
That's right.
Yeah. I know, not everyone's in the situation to have a PC that can record a VOD. I'm not saying that they should, but like, it's, it definitely would help.
So something to think about.
Yeah, something to think about. Yeah, for sure. So what did you think of TikTok?
TikTok.
Takeaways.
We definitely, just what our mantra is, and our, we getting specific in the details we've found is the most important way to help people. We've gotten results for our clients, and TikTok is, again, a lot of the ones that we saw, they are not really good at getting across that actually really pragmatic stuff for people to help. But we did see TikToks that were actually pragmatic. I was looking at the Nice ones. Like those were Nice was sort of like the only ones that were pragmatic in like a mindset way. The other mindset videos were like the general like don't keep playing, don't stop on a loss or whatever that was. Don't
right.
Stop on
the 30-34 one was kind of there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly the best one. Yeah, Nice's were I think were pragmatic and actually like good.
That wasn't like gameplay stuff. I mean, I guess that minion
kind of
was.
gameplay.
Yeah, that
right?
was sort of gameplay. Yeah.
It was a bit of both. I think. I think there were kind of a bit of both.
Yeah. I like the Cowsep one. That was a great example of a replay review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 420 Weeaboo guy, the advice about playing a champ for beginners.
Yeah.
Like, that was the best beginner advice. Like play the champ that you
super simple. Yeah,
super simple.
That's true. Yeah, no. So
there were some good ones.
So it definitely can be.
I think it can be used.
I am surprised. Again, I never saw one of these TikToks, and I think that TikTok can be a great way for the educational space in League.
Again, it can be a positive gateway drug.
Yeah, it can be a positive gateway
right.
drug,
I think if used well, I mean, look, I would say the majority of these TikToks are pretty garbage, and potentially even detrimental.
Yeah,
and sending you on the wrong track.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Like I actually had a discussion. So by the time this episode's out, it will be already on my YouTube. I did an interview with Alois, a top lane coach, and one of the topics of our discussion was reviewing, and we had a discussion about is reviewing worth it? Why he's not a massive advocate for reviewing in general, and one of the topics that came up was the dangers of reviewing. So one of the things that turned him off of reviewing is that he felt as though people would look at the wrong things and actually get worse. And I feel like that line of thought is kind of within TikTok as well, where it's like, there are landmines here. There are some gems, but you have to sift through a lot of shit. And can we expect the average League player to actually understand what is good advice and what is bad advice? That's the danger. You know what I mean? So I think that's where I'm scared the most about it. But I guess you could say that about any other medium. You could say that about YouTube.
I think you can say about anything.
You can say that about anything. Yeah. But it's just like the way that TikTok is. It's like everything is sound. Like they use like this AI voiceover, like this motivational music. Like you can kind
There's
of
like
hide
a specific
more.
meta of TikTok that sort of like
You
doesn't
can make
help.
anything sound useful, kind of. Like I feel like in YouTube, it's hard. Like you can get a pretty good read, roughly, if that person's genuine or authentic or kind of knows what they're talking about. Because in long form content, it's harder to fake it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's harder. Like you'll get exposed eventually anyway. Where in TikTok, I feel like
get away with
you
a lot
can get
more.
away with more. I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting anyway. So yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me personally. But I'm not definitely signing up for TikTok anytime soon. I don't think it's going to be in my arsenal.
You're not going to be getting
media.
league tips from TikTok, Curtis?
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean,
this is actually the first time I've actually used TikTok.
Okay.
I'd never used TikTok before this, so I'm welcome to the TikTok world. But it's not really the platform for me personally.
Yeah. Oh, and also not your content. You don't think
not my content, and I don't need another addictive social media in my life right now.
Too much.
There's too much dopamine.
Yeah.
That's that. So let us know what your favorite TikToks were of this one. And moving on, how do you want to wrap this one up, Nathan?
The talking about, if you guys enjoyed this, if you like, there's the feedback of the episode's really good. Maybe we could do this, maybe a quick segment, maybe 20 minutes of reacting to a couple of TikToks in a couple of episodes.
Maybe this is a segment you guys want us to keep. I don't know. It's totally up to you guys. So let us know your feedback. And I think it is kind of interesting to interact with the wider league community. Sometimes it feels like we're in a bit of like an echo chamber here. So it'd be good to kind of slowly branch out, see what else other people are
We're getting
doing.
involved in other aspects of the community, the educational space.
Pretty much.
Okay, well, we're going to do Mailbag, but we've been going for almost an hour and 40. So
I think we wrap it up as well. It's a bit of a long one.
That was a bit of a long one. So that's it for today's episode, everyone. Good work. Let's keep on improving. Back to our normal scheduling. We'll do next week with Curtis's clips, Summer School, and Mailbag. Good work, guys. Let's keep on improving, and we'll see you next week.